talked a little bit about that jaw and forming some of those consonants and those vowels with the tongue, and not necessarily with the overmasticulation of the jaw and getting that masseter muscle so kind of entangled up. How has that dialogue with yourself since then kind of been working?
I've let it pass for a little while, but I have come back into it a little bit, and it's different. I find myself over extenuating trying to relax, but yet it's tight. I'm trying to relax it. So.
Yeah, fabulous, great. Can you do this for me?
Sure.
Great, and as you speak, I want to make sure that it doesn't get breathy or off the voice, but that it's actually, that you're actually speaking with your full voice. So, that's fabulous, okay? Great. So one of the things that kind of was able to bring the vocal folds a little bit more together was not just this idea of just more energy and vitality, but that free-flowing air constantly moving through unrelentlessly. Okay, great. Let's go here. This is a wonderful exercise that I find to kind of recondition that jaw to not get so clenched and in the way, but to get out of the way, is for us to just do some nice arpeggios on Nina and on Omu. So, study the hinge there and see how much that masseter muscle is kind of working, and to just try to really allow the tip of the tongue to be what's producing that end for you. Okay? And for that closed O vowel, and it is a closed O, it's the upper lip that's going to come over to form it. So, no. So one more time. That's fabulous. And we're going to build upon this. Because you're such a smart cookie, I think I can throw a couple of things at you and you can take it. You've sung for a while. Try to allow the air to do this work for you. To allow the air to do most of that work for you, and that it's not any extrinsic muscles that are coming into play, that the tongue isn't grabbing on you at all throughout this process, okay? Thank you, Mia. Now sing it for me.
So it doesn't have to open very much.
Uh-uh.
Okay, I'm trying to open it further.
Yeah, exactly. As a matter of fact, you don't ever want to be opening it to the point where you're hyperextending it at all.
Okay.
You know, Nina, it doesn't open at all.
Okay.
Try it.
Nina.
Fabulous. Now sing that. Yes. Fabulous. Brava. The opening is inside.
That was easy.
So if you want to feel a little bit more feeling, just raise that palate a little bit more.
Okay.
But that's in here.
I'm just trying to open it further.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right here. Brava, thank you. That's it. Yes, now I will say this, there's going to come a point in the range where you'll have to open a little bit more, but not when you're in process. You open upon inhalation.
Right.
So if I'm up here, I've opened upon inhalation. All right, I've opened up here, right? Cool. That's beautiful. Can you prepare the space a little bit more upon inhalation before you begin? Open the space upon inhalation. Great. Relax the inhalation. That was lovely. This idea of relaxing the inhalation, that it's not this kind of haphazard, jolty thing, but it's something that I'm really giving myself time to reflect upon as I'm in it, right? So, so that relaxes that whole laryngeal tract, right? Take your time with that inhalation. Feel how spacious things can feel as a result of me opening that before I even begin. Yes, ma'am. Now don't allow that tongue to get tight up on that top note. I want you to feel like if someone shot Novocaine in that tongue. Here's what this demands, this exercise, is that you study how loose that tongue is when you begin, and that you insist that it stays loose on the second note, and that you insist that it stays loose on that third note. And it's not the middle of my tongue or the front of my tongue that I'm talking about. It's that part that's engaged when I swallow, all the way back there. The base of the tongue.
That's different.
Yes.
That's very good. I love that.
It was very different. Yes, and we love it too. It just sounds so free. Can you do it again? But it's really, this is the thing, you know, you don't hear a whole lot of talk of that much, but it's for operatic repertoire, it becomes so important that that base of the tongue is just super loose. I think I hear a little Sutherland in there.
I like that.
Ah, very loose tongue. You're not spreading with your mouth, but your concept of the ah vowel is a little spread. Can I get that ah vowel taller up there? So, because spreading of vowels, it's not just, we think automatically that we're spreading the mouth, but it's also your mindset of the vowel. I need to think a vowel that's more vertical there. Nah, instead of nah.
Yes.
So it's a combination now, the relaxation of the tongue with mindset of that verticality of that vowel. Let's try here. Remember, make sure that you have everything you need before you even begin.
Yes.
So I've heard this high note, right? In that moment, I've raised my palate in such a way before I've even begun that I know that I have everything. I've loosened that tongue in that moment to where I know that I'm going to have everything that I need before I get there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes, now get that jaw out of the way a little bit more, and I think we're going to be good to go.
Okay.
Don't let that jaw grab at the first one. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
One last time, because I want you to study. You're studying a couple things. You're studying the base of the tongue, the raising of the palate, the quality of the inhalation, you know, and it's a wonderful time of reflecting on these things. We're going to reflect on one more thing. Release that air relentlessly through this. Don't hold on to anything of that breath. Let that air soar out of you like crazy.
So don't push.
Don't push.
Yeah.
Of course you don't push, but you release the air. This is the balance. You're not pushing, you're releasing the air. Talk about it for a second.
I used it all up.
Yes,
I didn't have any reserve.
but
all
it's
gone.
okay.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
When I get to the end, I kind of, uh-oh.
But here's the thing, you knew how long that exercise was going to be.
Yeah.
Did it sound to me at the end like if you had nothing left? No. But you
Okay.
used the air up for what you needed to use it up for, which was for this exercise. There was no need for you to have more on reserve. This is part of the situation with a lot of singers, is that sometimes we get into this thing where it's like, okay, I have to hold my air so that I have enough for the end. What actually ends up happening is that we start stacking up the air because we kind of keep holding a little bit. And that held feeling kind of starts constricting us a little bit.
Right.
So I'd like to encourage you to think about that, even as you're moving towards repertoire, and in these vocalises. How did that feel so far?
It felt free. I thought it felt free.
This is great. No, I think that it was relatively very free. And I just want to tell you that things that we are going to be working on in these next couple of minutes are just going to be working to make it all the better. I think that it's already in a good place, okay? There's a couple of diction things that I want to clean with you a little bit. Moving backwards, every time you say the word ich,
Yes.
make sure that it's a short I. Right now it's coming out a little bit as ich, sometimes.
Okay.
All right? So that's one thing. And the other thing is that, you know, we talk about double consonants so much in Italian, but there are doubles in German as well. And in this song, it becomes so important with this word nimm, you know, and I want to make sure that we're producing that double well and that we can actually hear it. We may not need so much of it every single time because you repeat it quite a bit, but we do want some of it for expressivity purposes and depending within the context of what other lyrics surrounds it. So can you just say this word for me? Nimm.
Nimm.
Yeah, and I'm going to have you do something, I don't know what it is about this hand thing, but it really does help people. We're going to bring this home and pretend it's Italian for a second, because it really helps us with these doubles in Italian. I think it might help you a little bit with the German. We're just going to bounce that hand a little bit, and we're going to go nimm. Say this for me.
Nimm.
Bravo.
Nimm.
Nimm.
Right?
Yeah. So it's almost like we put a gentle stop of the lip on the first M, and then we propel air. We do a little puff of air on that second one, right? So nimm.
Okay. Nimm.
That's beautiful. And what I loved about it was that I didn't hear it stopping in the throat.
Yes.
That when we stop it, it's again with the lip, and that it's not something that's clenching. So I want you to pay attention to those two things. We'll maybe find a couple of other ones. I felt that the first ich that you did, the ich laut, was actually maybe just a little bit much. It needs to be balanced with the F of the word finde, right? So it can't be ich finde, right? I need to also hear F, right? So ich finde, ich finde, right? So I would say that the F is a little bit more important there.
Ich finde.
And I want you to think, because here, there's no way that you do a glottal there, right? Because it's an F, right? So they can actually allied and connect. So I can get the ich louds moving into the F. Ich finde.
Ich finde.
Yes, so that the air never stops. Do you feel that? So that allows for the vocal tract to stay open as well.
Ich finde.
Yes. Yeah. There are going to be these moments in German diction where you are going to have, some people would call them glottals. I like to be careful with that. I prefer to call them breath lifts because sometimes glottals, depending on how we do them, can be kind of hard. It can be like a smacking of the vocal cords together.
That's right.
And it can be quite taxing and tiring. So I like to think of them, like if I'm going to say, we don't have the word align here, but instead of align, right? Align. So that lift is on the breath. It's giving me the separation, but it's on, right? So for example, when you say at the bottom of the first page, wo ich in, right? Wo ich in. I like to separate them a little bit with just this idea of a breath articulation, but not a glottal. Can you try that for me?
Wo ich in.
Bravo.
Wo ich in.
You feel the difference?
Wo ich in.
Yes.
Okay.
I want you to play
Wo
around.
ich in.
Wo ich in.
Wo ich in.
Bravo.
Okay.
So it's not wo ich in.
Yes.
Okay, which I heard a little bit of in the first time that you did it, right?
Okay.
Great. Can you just do this first page for me again? And then we're going to take this in sections. Okay, let's try to address some of the diction stuff, which we already have in this. Nimm, ich, not ich, and allowing that air to keep moving through. Just the first page.
Okay.
Great, let me pause you here. These little short notes, ist, can you stretch them even a little longer so that it doesn't cut your breath? So, meine Ruhe ist hin, instead of meine Ruhe ist, and clipping
So not so much of a glottal.
Lengthen that vowel a little bit more. Meine Ruhe ist hin. You can give a breath lift / glottal, whatever you want to call it, but make sure that you still sing that vowel long enough that I can get some nice sound and legato moving through. Okay? Let's try that again.
Meine Ruhe ist hin, mein Herz ist schwer. Ich finde sie nimmer und nimmermehr.
Do you hear how you're saying ich instead of ich? Say ich.
Ich finde.
Ich.
Ich.
Yeah, not ich. Ich finde. Let's try that one more time. And this, say the word nimmer. Oh, you're doing great. Can you say nimmer mir? The word mir. Can you say mir for me? It's a closed e vowel, not an open e. Not mer. Mir.
Mir.
There you go.
Mir.
It's like a first cousin to the e.
Okay.
Is how I almost like to call it that. All right. So nimmer mir.
Nimmer mir.
That's it. Brava, brava.
Okay.
Can we take it from the first ich finde, and let's try to sing a real good short I for the word ich there, okay?
Ich finde sie nimmer und nimmermehr.
Nimmer mir. Nimmer mir.
Mir.
Say that. Just say those 2 words for me. Nimmer mir.
Nimmer mir.
That's it. It almost sounds like E, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's very close to E. It's not quite E, but it's very close to it.
Okay.
So, uns nimmer mir. Right, can we hear that?
Und nimmer mir.
Brava.
Wo ich ihn nicht hab, ist mir das Grab. Die ganze Welt ist mir vergällt. Mein armer Kopf ist mir verrückt. Mein armer Sinn ist mir zerknickt.
Great, let's stop there. This is good. Again, it's just sounding fabulous. This is all just working to make it a little bit better. Now you have these broad lines happening here. When you have these quarter note and 8th note breaths, I want you to really take advantage of them, and I want you that when you're practicing them in the practice room, that you take time just to isolate these moments and to really reflect upon the quality of your inhalation in these moments. How relaxed can I get that tongue? How do I want to consider the raising of the soft palate in such a way so that not a single one of these inhalations is haphazard, but that it's extremely intentional? And that it's intentional based upon where you are in the registration. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, die ganze Welt ist mir vergällt, mein Arm. Then I can really stretch that, okay? And I almost, I'm going to say this, I almost want to see this all working for you a little bit more. You know, that I am seeing that raising of the soft palate a little bit more, that I'm seeing the relaxation of that tongue as I'm inhaling, okay?
Yes.
It may be a little bit extreme for now, but I think that's where you kind of need to go for us to really get to that place where we're reflecting on it the way that is necessary at this point.